Hello and welcome to the Monroe Method Clancast. I am Jason Monroe. This is episode 102. Now, if I sound a little bit different, it's because I'm in my car. The Monroe Method is getting a little bit out of hand in terms of the sheer amount of work that I have to do in a day, because I am changing so much behind the scenes once again, taking a year of feedback to make improvements and adjustments and make things bigger and better than ever. And that time has to come from somewhere. So I'm having to learn to become more efficient, more productive, and streamline a lot of things. But it also means doubling up. So here I am sitting in the car outside a community hall while my son is trialing a new football class. He normally goes to football on a Tuesday night at Stirling Uni, but it's an outdoors one under the floodlights, which is fine because it's not that cold yet, but it will be in the winter. But the guys have put on a new indoor class on a Wednesday night. So he's in trialing that just now to see how he enjoys it. Which means I get to sit in the car for an hour and talk to you lovely people in a podcast episode, or two if I've got time to record two. So what we're going to talk about in this one, we are going to talk about weight set point theory. Now, that's a very fancy way of saying, of describing a belief that people have around everybody having a happy weight. So there is this idea that people have, this belief that people hold on to, where your weight has a weight that it's supposed to be at, and no matter how much weight you lose or how many times you diet, your body will just automatically go back there. Just to clear it up nice and early, that's not a thing. It both is and isn't a thing. It isn't a thing in the sense that people think that there's some sort of mystical force that just pushes their weight back to where it was before, and there's nothing they can do about it. It is a thing in the true sense that if you go on a diet, so let's say someone starts following some plan and they lose weight and then they get to the weight that they want to be, and they stop following that plan. They stop following the plan and their weight starts to go back up. This is not because your body wants to be the weight that it was before. It is because you've stopped following this plan that was helping you lose weight. You've now gone back to normal, the same normal that led you to want to lose weight in the first place. Make sense? So the whole idea around weight set point theory, just to describe that better, is that it's the belief that we all have a set point. Like, my weight's supposed to be 14 stone, your weight's supposed to be 13 stone, your friend's weight's supposed to be 12 stone, and it's already determined when you were born. It was genetically encoded into you that that's the weight that you were going to be. So that's the idea, right? Everybody has a set point, and your weight is where it is because of this set point, right? Which is nonsense. We do all have a set point, but it's not predetermined. You're not born with it. It's not genetic. It's you decide what your set point is. So again, I know I always use myself as an example, but it's the easiest one to use because I'm so familiar with it. When I was 21, 22, 23, I was somewhere between 14 and a half stone. That's not because that's where my body wanted to be. That's where idiot 20-year-old Jason's habits took his weight, because he drank a lot of beer, ate a lot of takeaways, didn't exercise very much then, was going out clubbing, staying up late, playing Xbox, had a very sedentary job. What was I doing at 21? I was not in the call center anymore because I got sacked from that when I was 20. I was at the plant hire company where I sat on a desk in a seat answering phone calls all day, very inactive. And then my weekends were spent in pubs, in clubs, and staying up late and not doing very much and being hungover, then going back to work on Monday. That was my life. And that's why I became a 14 and a half stone version of myself. I could say that back then, 14 and a half stone was my set point, because that's the point that I set my weight at with the way that I was choosing to live my life. I didn't want to be active. I didn't want to eat well. I didn't eat vegetables. I didn't get much sleep. I went from a sedentary job to sit in a car, to drive home, to sit in a flat, to perform sedentary tasks, watching movies, watching series, playing Xbox, then going to bed, then getting up and doing it all over again. And then, like I said, at the weekend, takeaways were like 3, 4, 5 times a week. So yeah, takeaways, alcohol, very sedentary lifestyle, terrible sleep, terrible hydration, basically treating myself like a piece of shit. And that led me to be 14 and a half stone. And I dieted throughout my 20s, on and off. When my weight got to a point where it was bothering me, or if we had a lads holiday to Magaluf or whatever, it'd be like, yeah, let's change this. And then I did stupid things like the beans and toast diet, which is actually not too bad. Like 2 slices of dry toast at 80 calories each, 90 calories each, and half a tin of beans at a couple of 100 calories each. Doing that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, lucky if you're having 1,000 calories a day. Yes, the weight came off. Your bills were regular. You were getting some measure of protein and fiber, so it wasn't awful. Plus, I really liked beans and I really liked toast. But these are the kind of the things that I did back then. The Special K diet, the 1 meal a day diet, the 1,200 calories diet. Even dabbled in Atkins for a little while and lost a tremendous amount of weight and put it all right back on again. Until I reached the age of 30 years old. I'm 39 now. My eldest son will be 10 in April. I reached the age of 30. I had a son. I started to settle down. And I realized that my health was not just about me anymore. It didn't matter if I treated myself like a piece of shit. However, it's not just me anymore. You now have a fiance. You now have a baby. And that was my turning point for starting to take better care of myself. Now, then you know this story if you've listened to most of these things. I bring it up now and again. But that was my turning point. And that was when my set point changed. So my set point changed. So right now, I don't know what I am. I'm maybe 12 stone. I don't know. Somewhere between 11 and a half and 12 stone right now. That's my new set point because I ultimately don't treat myself like a piece of shit. I eat protein and vegetables with almost every meal. I eat until I'm satisfied, not stuffed. I'm stop eating when I start to feel full. I don't overeat ever because I hate how it feels now. When before it used to be a very comfortable and pleasant sensation because the pleasure of overeating was more enjoyable than the discomfort that you experienced afterwards. In the same way that the fun of alcohol is the thing that drives people to drink, knowing full well they're going to be hungover later. You know, you reach a point in life where, I mean, if we bring it back to the clubbing thing, you know, I used to go to work, do a shift, go home, maybe have an hour disco nap if I had time for it, get changed, and then be out till 4 o'clock in the morning and then go straight into work the next day. That makes me feel physically sick thinking about that. 18, 19, 20, 21, yes, that was hardcore. That was the thing to do. You never wanted to miss out on a night out. At the age of 39, that makes me nauseous, actually thinking about even doing that. Oh, hell no. But you reach this, it's like a value transition. You reach a point in life where the reward simply doesn't outweigh, not the risk, that's not the word, it's not risk versus reward, it's the benefits outweigh the drawbacks, right? The pros, the cons outweigh the pros. You know, now I very rarely have a late night. I can't even sit up to watch the UFC anymore because I'll feel like rubbish the next day. And I place more value now on not feeling like rubbish during the day or not feeling like crap the next day. And it's like, yeah, you could stay up till 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning and watch the UFC as it happens, or you could go to your bed at your normal time, get up at your normal time and catch up on all the action tomorrow. And you can even skip all the crap in between the fights and you can watch it much quicker, or you can watch it on the treadmill like I did last night. So yeah, it's your set point is not fixed, but it will be fixed until you change. So your set point is changeable, it's adaptable, it's flexible. It is not some mystical, magical force that is outside of your hands that always takes your weight back to where it was before. that's not a thing. But here is something to touch on that's quite interesting, right? You might have experienced this yourself. I've seen it thousands and thousands of times now over the last however many years it's been I've been doing this. But there is this interesting thing where, and you know, people who follow the Monroe method are not immune to yo-yo dieting. Like, do you know how many people come back, especially today, now that things are a bit more professional than they were in the Facebook group? So many people come back, and I ask about their dieting history, and they'll say, I was here before, but I didn't take it seriously. I just treated it as a diet. I just treated it as something I was doing to get the scales down. And people can often get like too confident, overly confident. They get too excited, too confident. Look how easy these scales have come down. Look how easily I've lost weight. This is amazing. I can do this by myself. I'm not going to stay to the end and see this all the way through and let Jason help me get up to maintenance and then go on and maintain these results. I'm just going to cancel and leave and then just go do my own thing. Lo and behold, their weight goes back to where it was before, and then they come back 2 or 3 years later, and then that's the discussion that we have, right? So, yeah, I can't stop people from coming into the Monroe method and treating it like a yo-yo diet. The only thing that I can put in place is the 6-month cancellation, no return policy, which I'm changing to 9 months actually, while I'm revamping everything. So from the end of November, the middle of November, if someone cancels their membership, which is fine, people cancel all the time for financial reasons, for other reasons, for whatever, that's absolutely fine. However, you can't come back for 9 months. And this is my way, because what happens is I move them into a cool down status, and once they're tagged as cool down, they can't come back in again. This is my way of stopping people treating the Monroe method like Slimming World, where you can leave and rejoin dozens of times per year, every couple of weeks. Like 1 week you get annoyed with it, so you cancel. A couple of weeks later you go back, and they let you do it over and over and over and over and over again. You look at all the stuff that these Slimming World consultants post in their Facebook groups and their Facebook pages, like, you'll be welcomed back with open arms. Remember, you're all return custom. It's all return custom. I'm the opposite of that. I was kind of tempted to make it like you can leave and join once a year, but I think that's probably just a bit too harsh. I feel like 6 months is too short a time now because it's November, and I'm just thinking, like, if someone cancels their membership now, they can basically say, do you know what? I'm just going to cancel for Christmas. I'll not worry about my weight until summer next year. And they can still technically treat it like a yo-yo diet where they're going to leave, quote unquote, enjoy Christmas, put on weight, go through January, February, March, April, and then May, June time, sign back up again just in time to start losing weight for the summer again. So technically, this 6 months is it's still too good a gap. So I'm going to change that. Anyway, sorry. I diverge. I die. What's the word? What's the word I want to use? Oh my God. Not diverge. I diverge. I don't know. It's like a tangent. Digress. Jesus Christ, that word would not come into my brain. I digress. So, weight set point. And the point I was getting to there was, so let's say I worked with someone in 2019 and their weight was 15 stone and I helped them get to 12 stone. And they've came back to work with me in 2022 and their weight is 15 stone. Exactly. How on earth does that happen? And this is partly where this weight set point theory thing comes from, because it doesn't make sense. Why does a person's weight go back to exactly where it was? It's for a variety of reasons. I think the key thing is, I think many people who have battled with their weight for a long time, they have like an upper limit. So they have a number that they know when they get to it, their weight's too high. So for example, someone's weight might never go above 15 stone because every time they get to 15 stone, they know that things are going too high. And it almost acts like a mental trigger that automatically has them cutting back, or, you know, I'm 15 stone now, right? That's it. The takeaways need to stop. This needs to stop. I'm going to stop going to the snack van for lunch. And it's not, you know, the weight would probably go beyond 15 stone, But it's just that many people have this mental number, this mental trigger that says, I've went too far with this. It's time to calm down now. It's time to ease back. It's time to whatever. Or every time they get to 15 stone, that's when they go on a diet. They step on the scales one day, they see their weights at 15 and they go, fuck, time to go on a diet again. So that's part of it, right? That's one side of it. It could be the mental trigger. When a person sees their weight go to a number, or when they feel a certain way, or when, it could be that you're a nurse and you go into work one day and there is a particular feeling that you get when your weight goes to 15 stone, that when you put your overalls on, I don't know what nurses call them, those blue things that they wear in the hospitals. When you put your thing on, scrubs, is it scrubs? Scrubs, I think. When you put your scrubs on, you can feel it. You feel where they're tight. You feel that bit where it pinches. And that's that trigger that says, you've gone too far again. Time to find a diet. Time to do this. Time to do that. And that's often why people go back to that weight. They would go farther. Sorry, when I say back to the weight, I mean the exact weight. They would go farther than that. But there's part of them is the one that says, okay, well, now I need to change things. The other thing is, why do people go back to the same weight? Because they go back to the same habits. So think of it this way. Once upon a time, that person was 13 stone. And throughout time, they reached 15 stone because they got married, they had kids, they settled down. It was no longer just them to take care of. They now got a husband, not to take care of, you know what I mean. They've got a husband to consider, somebody else cooking for them. Maybe they're eating more meals. Maybe they eat the same size portions as their partner. They've got 2 kids that they're now cooking for and looking after. They went from being young and carefree and having all the time in the world and not realizing it at the time, to now having a husband, 2 kids, a home life, a dog, this, that, and the next thing. And it's not just them anymore. And gradually over time, they developed a series of habits that led them to become a 15 stone version of themselves. And that's their new set point. So in the same way that in my 20s, when I didn't have anyone to look after or anyone to worry about, or I didn't even have to place any value on my own health, I was 14 stone. But I went in the opposite direction. I got the family, the kids, realized, wait a minute, I am responsible for 2 little people here. I need to sort my shit out. I went in the opposite direction. But for other people, it goes the other way. So that's the other element of it. Yeah, once upon a time, you were 13 stone, but then life changed, you changed, maybe you left high school and you started studying and then you got your driver's license. I mean, that's a great point, like, especially when it comes to like people who gain weight from like high school into like their 20s into their 30s. In high school, you walked everywhere. You spent a lot of time outside. You walked to friends' houses. You walked and got public transport. Yeah, you had a lot more free time. So you might not have had any issues with your weight. Then you left school and went to uni, which meant lots of time sat in lectures, lots of time sat studying. Then you got a car and passed your driving tests. You're no longer walking everywhere, you're now driving everywhere. So it's like sedentary, sedentary, sedentary. Then you discover the nightlife. Then because you're studying so much, you start living off pot noodles and snack noodles and beans and toast and whatever else. And before you know it, your weight's now 15 stone. If you think of it this way, if I gave you 5 habits right now that were unhelpful and told you to perform them every day, and I set it up in a way that would take your weight to 15 stone, your weight would get to 15 stone and stop. Because like your weight just doesn't go up and up and up and up and up and up. It's here's how you're living your life right now, and your weight is simply coming up to meet you. So if you're living like a 15 stone version of yourself, like I was in my 20s, I was living like a 14 stone version of myself, which is why my weight went to 14 stone. Today, I live like a 12 stone version of myself, which is why my weight is where it is. And it's the same thing I try to do with everyone inside the Monroe Method. You're not trying to lose weight. You're learning to live like a lighter version of yourself so that your weight can come down in the same way that you were living like a heavier version of yourself and your weight came up to meet you. So That's the other part of it. It's when you stop dieting, when you stop focusing on weight loss, you basically, your weight was 15 stone before. You've not addressed any of those habits. You've not changed anything about the reason that your weight went to 15 stone. All you've done is start a diet, follow a plan, and make your weight come down. So as soon as you stop following that plan, if you go back to all your 15 stone habits, where do you think your weight's going to go? So this is the reason that people, it's mostly the reason that drives this idea that maybe this is just the weight I'm supposed to be. This is just the weight I'm supposed to be at. And that's not the case at all. Like, everyone does have a weight they're supposed to be at. Like, whatever weight you are right now, that's the weight that you are supposed to be, because that is I don't know if I've said this on the podcast, but I've been saying it a lot to my clients. Your weight is the thing that comes after the equals sign in a long, complex equation. Your weight will, the equation determines what your weight is, mindset multiplied by lifestyle divided by habits, like something like that. And the outcome is wherever your weight is. So yes, everybody listening to this right now, whatever your weight is right now, if you stepped on the scales this morning or recently, it's exactly where it's supposed to be, because this is the version of yourself that you are living like. If you want your weight to change, stop trying to change your weight. Try to change you. Change your set point by changing the thing that takes your weight to the place that you don't want it to be. If you want your new set point to be 13 stone or 12 stone or 11, 10, 9, 8, whatever it is, whatever height you are, whatever your body composition is, you need to start living like that version of yourself, which will mean drinking alcohol less often, eating fewer takeaways, not eating chocolate every single night, reducing that to a few nights, spending more time outdoors, getting better sleep, hydrating better, leaning on not alcohol. Well, I mean, alcohol, yes, I've already mentioned it, but leaning on alcohol less often, leaning on caffeine less often, managing stress, improving your screen time habits, all of these things, they all contribute to your weight. So to change your weight, you need to work on changing the reasons behind why your weight is where it is. We all have a set point, but it is completely changeable, because once upon a time your set point was lighter, now it's heavier, but it's there because of the way that you're living, the lifestyle that you have, the mindset you have, the habits that you have. And that's all I've got to say on the topic. So, is there some mystical, magical force making you go to a number on the scale that you don't want to be? Of course not. You are going there, not because you want to go there, but because you want to eat and drink and do things that take it there. That's enough from me today. Until next time.